That a view of what the situation is in Iran. Let's speak to our correspondent now in Israel, Noga Tarnopolsky, joining us. Hello to you. Noga, it's a third day of fighting between Israel and Iran, the military giving some updates. What has the Israeli military been saying?
The Israeli military, the spokesman just finished a briefing right now, basically laying out an extremely wide array of ongoing Israeli strikes inside Iran. Wide array meaning against infrastructure like natural gas facilities, against figures that they're still seeking out, and against military and nuclear installations. It's all still ongoing. So the news is basically, it is going on full force. And the other, obviously, news that the spokesman attempted to deliver was for Israelis. We still don't know how many Israelis were killed last night in the Iranian missile barrages. At least 10. The numbers are still rising. And the military has a role in trying to calm down the citizenry as well in what are very stressful days here.
And with the Israeli government sort of widening the scope of targets, it says it has a large list of targets, potential targets in Iran. And they haven't given a date for when this operation will end. Is the public on board with this, or are they a bit alarmed after 20 months of war in Gaza?
This is a really important question, and I don't have an answer for you. I managed to get out a little bit today and speak to some very pro-Netanyahu Jerusalemites. Netanyahu's developed a bit of a cult following among his followers. So one of the gentlemen who I spoke with said to me, "Thank God we have Bibi overlooking us in the skies." But I don't know if that's reflective, and I suspect it's not. Israelis are very weary. But there's another aspect I think we have to highlight. Netanyahu told Israelis that the aim of this operation was very clear and unequivocal, to, quote, eliminate the nuclear threat from Iran. Obviously, attacking oil refineries does not do that, and attacking political figures, if that's what Israel's beginning to do, also doesn't. And what we're seeing right now, not in the military arena, but in the media arena, is an effort by Israeli figures to begin to change the conversation. I want to mention yesterday, a senior Israeli official speaking to the Wall Street Journal said that the supreme leader of Iran, Khamenei, was not off the table. Today, we have another senior Israeli figure leaking to Al Arabiya saying, and I quote, "American involvement is required. If we do not destroy the installation in Fordo, this is one of Iran's most major nuclear facilities, our work will not have been efficient." So what we're seeing, I think, is Israelis trying to change the conversation, and we're also beginning to understand to what an extent Prime Minister Netanyahu made this decision based on two assumptions, and we don't yet know if these assumptions were correct or not. One assumption is that he could persuade the United States to join Israel in the fighting, in active combat. The other assumption, it's now becoming clear, is that the Iranian regime is weak and toppleable. And I think that we have to just keep our eyes very much on the ball, keep paying attention to what messages the Israeli government is putting out in addition to what its military actions are, and see how things progress. I am not certain that either of these assumptions are going to end up being proven correct. And if that's the case, Netanyahu may end up having to face the Israeli public again in a few days, in a week or two, and have to admit that he was not able to deliver what he promised them.
And I wanted to ask you about that because I'm curious. On the one hand, there are international calls for de-escalation. On the other hand, you do have Western countries like France, like Germany, like the United States saying Iran's nuclear program is a threat to Israel, is a threat to the world, and that Israel has a right to defend itself. But as the scope of targets widens beyond the nuclear program, do you think Netanyahu risks losing some of that international support?
It's a great question. Again, I mean, as I said to you, I definitely think he risks losing whatever support he has from Israelis right now. And we don't yet know how much support he really has for this. For Israelis, certainly, the notion of a nuclear Iran was very clear until now, but it was also abstract. It didn't affect people's daily lives. This is destroying people's daily lives here in Israel. In terms of diplomacy, I think that all of these leaders have been put in a quite difficult position by Netanyahu, because on the one hand, it is absolutely true that, Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, Chancellor Merz, President Trump, all of these Western leaders understand very clearly, better than you and I do, the danger that a nuclear-armed Iran would pose to the Western world. It's not abstract for them. On the other hand, if Prime Minister Netanyahu has sort of gone rogue and is going to be attacking the political leadership of Iran, which hasn't yet happened, I want to emphasize, but continue to attack national infrastructure, which has happened, those leaders may find themselves in a very, very difficult bind, and it may actually expose Israel to even greater diplomatic isolation than it already finds itself in over the Gaza war, which, let's mention, is ongoing, and people continue to die and suffer there too.
All right, Noga, thank you very much. Noga Tarnopolsky reporting there.